Con Stathopoulos and Josh Phegan come together in an incredible podcast, Grow, Scale, Master.
An energetic approach to drive progress, master skills, build strengths and put the strategy back into rapid business and personal success.
Backed by real-world experience in rapid scaling to playing the long-term game of business, it's the story of all the lessons learned on the journey to mastery.
Be inspired, renew your energy and chase the future with Grow, Scale, Master.
Con, you got to put the fun back into business. What are your thoughts about that as a little topic for today?
I love it, actually. It's great timing for this as well.
You know, I think the big thing about it is that, like, you see that, like, and I think it was even the Rafa, conversation where they were talking about, like when you stiffen up and when you get like really hard, that's when the injuries happen because like when you fall, like there's no looseness and the muscles tight, and then all of a sudden that's when the snap occurs.
Yep.
And I want you to think a little bit about that because I reckon that there's a lot of people that, given the events that have happened most recently, are in a position that they're kind of like stiffening up because, things are tightening up and they've got to go and do a lot of work. And this is that whole challenge is that literally how do you actually have more fun with it? And my favourite of all time, and naturally I know that you watch a lot of the Formula One, but seeing young Kimi and, he's winning the races and he loves Mario Kart. So this is absolutely everything. Then you've got Verstappen, who's like, one of the absolute kings of the sport for many years, who's all of a sudden saying, well, look, if you don't change the rules, I'm going to consider giving up and walking away.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about those two mindsets about this whole conversation of, hey, it's too hard, I'm just going to go and do something else, versus the conversation of learn how to play given the rules of the day and the fact that the rules continue to change?
I think the timing of this is absolutely spot on. We both spoke before we jumped on that there's a lot of people that are in a state of flux.
Yes.
Right? Because things have changed rapidly.
Yeah.
And I think I always go back to, that film clip or the video with Matthew McConaughey and Nick Kyrgios.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
The tennis one, if you haven't found it, just YouTube Matthew McConaughey, Nick Kyrgios. It goes on for 3 minutes. But can you fall back in love? What would it be like to fall back in love with what you're doing?
Yes.
And I think that what you just said is spot on around, you got to play the rules of today's game, not yesterday's game. And this thing that we do, that we get to do, right, which makes our lives so much more enriched in all different facets. This is all about making sure that you can enjoy the ride. It's all about longevity. I said this on Friday to someone. Real estate's like a marathon currently, but with 100-metre sprints and hurdles thrown in between just for shits and giggles, right? So if we don't have fun in this, then maybe we need to go back to purpose. We need to go back to vision. We need to go back to our why.
Yes.
To maybe fall back in love with it, right?
The big thing I'm seeing a lot of people is that when the wind is at their back and things are easy, they don't actually realise that they're easy. They actually believe that ultimately these, respectfully, their skill set.
Yes.
And then, as soon as all of a sudden there's a bit of a headwind, you just see people just fall off the bike.
Yeah.
And you're like, hang on a second here. And this is interesting because, I was talking to Simon Baker, the CEO and MD over at House and House in Dubai. He said, the biggest fear that we have, for our children in growing up in Dubai is that everything almost feels like it's covered in gold leaf.
Yes.
So we get them an ice cream, they want to put gold leaf on it. Take them out for a steak, it's going to be can be covered in gold if you go to the right place. He said, but the interesting conversation about that is, he goes, like, what we realize is the thing that absolutely teaches without a doubt is adversity. And so therefore, from that point of view, it's like literally when the conditions change, what do you do? And I think that for a lot of people, and we did that episode about forecasting, about saying, hey, like what are the things that have actually happened and how do you go to change? And so I'm drawing up this little T chart at the moment for people. So let's have a look at this year so far. So we've got CGT, we've got negative gearing, we've got 3 interest rate increases, war. In addition to that, we've got a war in Iran, or Middle East tension. We've got a whole range of things that are going on about sentiment, fuel prices, electricity prices, a government that maybe is not as popular as it was. And so all of a sudden, it tends to feel heavy. And we also live in a world that is filled with distractions and a whole heap of mobile phones and a whole heap of social media, which actually gets you into that mood. But yet, if you think about that, well then, but this is what's actually happening, but this is what we're actually doing over here, about this is what we can do. So what we can do is really good quality buy work. What we can do is list people who bought between 2016 and 2021 because if they're selling today, they're selling at a profit. What we can do is actually make sure that we're better around making sure we don't lose listings as expired withdrawals at day 60.
Matt, I think this is all about, let's stop and pause and reflect and be grateful for what we get to do. And let's also stop and pause and work out, hey, if I'm still having the operating model or system of 30, 60, 90 days ago, I'm out of date. So this is all about a reset. Okay, so the economy's going through a reset. The world's going through a reset. There's a lot of change that's happening. And if you're right, if we keep focusing on that, and by the way, I'm not in this utopian world where I don't listen to the news or see social. I see it as well.
Yes.
I can't control any of that, Josh.
Yes.
I can only control the mood that I've got, the way that I get up in the morning, the way that I move my body, the way that I feed my mind, and then I can only deal with what's right in front of me. And I tell you what's right in front of us, all of us. It's so glaringly obvious, is the greatest opportunity for change in this market I have ever seen. Forget COVID.
Yes.
Okay? Because this is the market where you've got those agents and agencies that might be capitulating, that might be sitting there going, worries me, I can't get a deal done or whatever. All we've got to do is just sit down and focus. We spoke about the power of focus being a superpower a couple of episodes ago.
Yes.
Just focus. One conversation, one client, one meeting at a time.
Yeah, the funny thing is that I have more fun with it. I find that I need more structure.
Yeah, me too.
And I need more discipline.
Yeah.
And so literally this is that whole thing that if, the quality of your energy is your emotions and the quantity of your energy is your physical stuff, like you can go for the run, you can do the exercise, you can lift the weights as you do.
Yep.
But then all of a sudden when it actually comes to the quality of that energy is really important. So don't allow it to get burnt out by things that you actually can't control.
And what can't you control? Well, you can't control anything that we discuss, but what you can control is the conversations you may or may not be having with your vendors.
And so when you think about that, Mondays is all about buy work. Tuesdays, we're going all in on our future sellers.
Yep.
Wednesday, we're going to review all of our current listings.
Yep.
Fridays, we're going to have a look at our numbers. And what we're going to continually do is just, reverse engineer that. And so we did this with your team this week where we said, okay, let's say that you wanted to do 4 sales. Well, you got to go to get 5 listings.
Yep.
In order to get 5 listings, you got to go to 8 listing presentations. In order to go to that, you got to go to a minimum of maybe 24 market appraisals.
Correct.
That's 32 appointments divided by 20 work days. Let's just go to call it 1.5, maybe 2 appointments a day, Monday to Friday. That's either a market appraiser or a listing appointment, and you're going to keep yourself on track.
Correct.
And what people are realizing is that all of a sudden you might have had, let's say, for example, you had 6 listings and you sell 3 this month, 3 carry over to next month. You keep listing, and so now you got 6 plus the 3. Now you got 9 listings, but 3 are old listings that you still have to do open home times for. 6 are now newer listings. Some of them are not selling. Then all of a sudden you go to the next month, and all of a sudden you're carrying over 6 listings because you still sold 3. And then you stop listing new ones, and so only list 3 new ones, and now you've got 9, but 6 are really old. And then before you know it, you're collecting stock. And we're seeing this in some of the most incredible marketplaces in Australia, like Albert Park in Melbourne.
I was there on Friday. Yeah, that's absolutely right.
And then you go and have a quick look at, we're even seeing it in Balmain where we are here in Sydney today. So what you're identifying is that really quickly you've got to now go and actually get very strategic about what you list and when you list it, and understanding owner motivation around that.
So this is falling back in love with the process, Josh.
Yes.
So I think I don't want to say this in a negative way, but I think we've been spoiled by the last 3 or 4 years, maybe even like...
They're calling it the 30-year super boom.
Right now,
literally that what's happened
what we've had
to residential real estate because of the negative gearing benefits, because of like it being an investment vehicle, because of what's actually happened with people
post-COVID as well, all that type of stuff. Well, but let's fall back in love with process. So you're right, what you said. First of all, what are you kind of ingesting when it comes to your brain matter? What are you doing about your body? Like, can we get the elements or the basics right first?
Yes,
of us, because when we get us right, everything else tends to follow in that order.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you think about like the fixed versus growth mindset thing, the fixed mindset says, well, I know everything. The growth mindset says, I've never seen this before. What do you do?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about, well, the growth mindset for me is about saying, well, back into training, double down on the things you always should have been doing, really build into a relationship that say, you know what, I don't mind. I'm not trying to go for 100 calls a day, but I am trying to get 2 appointments a day.
Yes.
And if I'm in a position, and I think that, we had a great example where a client said to me this week, hey, we've just launched a $4.5 million property. We've taken it to its first open home and no one turned up. What should we do? And I'm like, we'll never let that happen again.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, what buy work did you do? What market appraisals did you ring in the price range before?
Yeah.
What past clients did you ring that were in the price range before? What landlords with their principal place of residence did you ring that were in the price range before? And she sort of looked back at me and she said, yeah, but I put it on the internet. I'm like, yeah, but do you think that's what an agent does?
Those days are gone.
Yes.
So whacking it up on REA or Domain and waiting for buyers to come, those days are finished. What we need to do is fall back into a system where every time we list a property, we're doing exactly what you just said. But maybe we need to start prospecting buyers as well as sellers.
But I think this is a good example. Like I was showing you that SMS that I received of a property in my local area that had become available for sale.
Yes,
and they sent me an SMS. No, this is a different one. They sent me an SMS on the Saturday at 12 o'clock. I said, hey, Josh, if you're looking to buy, this one's available. And by the way, it's open right now.
Yes.
And I'm like, could you not have told me that on Tuesday? So this is where I'm thinking about that. Like, you've got to get better at what you're doing in the launch week strategy specifically to get more private appointments. And I think that Alexander Phillips is probably the lead on this, where he says, okay, great, I'm going to get someone down there at 1 o'clock on a Monday afternoon, but now I'm going to turn that into an open home between 1 and 1:15.
REA domain, it sends an alert out to the people.
Alert notifications.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And the benefit of that is that he's saying that he can get 8 to maybe 9 open for inspections in the first 13 days of a property actually being on market.
Well, start thinking about that now as process, right? And start thinking about the conversation that you have to have with your owner.
Yes.
At the set to sell or after you've listed it to say, hey, Josh, what I'm going to do in the next 72 hours, this is what you could expect.
Yes.
Right? We might get an offer. And that offer might be the best offer. And the reason being is I've met these people, they're underbidders, they've made offers on other property. It's, the compression selling system that Alex uses. But this is all about thought.
Yes.
So let's stop thinking about what's not right. Let's start thinking about what's possible, because if you get it right, you get a sold sticker up on a board today, that breeds your next listing and the next listing and the next listing. You're social proof in your market.
And I love this, is that whole idea is about, let's throw creativity at it on who could we call and what could we say?
Yeah. Experiences that rapidly shaped you.
So, Con, I don't know if you know, but when I was a little kid, I was very shy, and my mum thought, oh, wow, because I'd heard be seen and be not heard, and I was seen and not heard. And mum was like, oh, no, we need to get him to start talking. And so I went to a speech and drama lady, and a lady by the name of Jan Skinner, and I was very, very lucky to spend some time with Jan in my life. And she was in a position that she helped me to get a speech and drama diploma. And as a part of that, one of the things that we had to do is we had to go into different exercises. And there was one day that we were taken to the local radio station, and we actually had to be radio announcers.
Oh, wow.
So we had to read the news of the day. And basically there was 15 kids through the Eisteddfod that would actually then, go and do that exercise. And then someone then won. And you wouldn't believe it. I went and I did the radio announcer, and I thought I'd nailed it. And then you'd get a copy of the cassette tape
to listen to.
So I brought it back to Jan, and I said, okay, great, I want you to listen to my radio announcing. And so I played it to her, and she listened back, and she said, you're not going to win. I said, what do you mean I'm not going to win? And she's like, you're not smiling. I'm like, how can you tell that listening to a cassette tape?
You can tell.
She says, I can tell.
Yeah.
Because literally it's in your tone, it's in your delivery, it's in the way that you go to think. So I then think about it, that we had Channel 9, and back in Albury-Wodonga days, that was called Win TV. And interestingly enough, they decided to hold a TV newsreader competition. Now, I've got this in the bag because I've already done the radio announcer, so I'm going to go and do this. And so, literally, and I remember they put us out the back of the shopping centre, and then we had to walk through this hallway. And I remember for some reason, thinking I was like Michael Jordan, I might just, kind of tap the top of the door sill on my way through. And I did, it was great. And then naturally, I then got in the chair, and because I was so much about having fun with it, and the smile was there, and where
you won?
Mate, I won.
Oh, wow.
I won an inkjet printer. But but can I tell you, that was one of the greatest lessons of all time, that literally, people are going to buy your energy, and you got to make sure you're
100%. Tell you one thing that's rapidly changing my view. It's an experience.
Yes.
Don't laugh.
Yes.
But you will, and I think others have as well, is I've started playing golf. Okay, so there you go. Okay, well, we'll cut that out anyway.
Okay, Tiger.
Okay. I tell you what, though.
Yes.
The humbling nature of picking up something that's new.
I've actually got some footage of
mate. Lucky there's no video with this. That's fake news, by the way.
Right,
completely fake news.
But there's 16 swings before you make contact with the ball.
You know what? We were playing around, we were mucking around. But what I'm getting to is, it's amazing what happens when you put yourself in a position where you're absolutely the student.
Yes.
And you have no preconceived ideas, thoughts, or experiences on anything. The humbling nature of that.
Yes.
And then, is one thing. But the second thing is the ability to be able to learn something new.
Yes.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I haven't done that enough, is what I've experienced. Like, I'm thinking now, well, can I go and do, I don't know, can I do a sourdough course on a starter and start using a different part of my brain that re-engages, that creativity?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Something that's changing your view.
I was watching some stuff about AI and development, and there's this guy who was doing this thing, and he was using a tool called Wispr Flow.
I use it.
Yeah, and like when you see that, it's like kind of interesting about just watching how much they're talking backwards and forwards with the AI to try to get their ideas out because they don't have that ability to necessarily write with their fingers. I thought that was good.
Yeah, it's a great tool. I mean, I've been using it now for probably 6 months, and it's actually
invite.
Well, it's picked up. I picked it up off the Diary of a CEO. Stephen Bartlett's an investor in that, and it's. I mean, you can just use the voice note to kind of dictate, but this is actually picking up your language.
Yes,
and the beauty about it is I can talk to it because I don't like typing because I touch type, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, no, I finger type, not touch type.
Search and destroy.
Yeah, but what it does is it's picked up the nuances of my language, and then it can actually right now is go, hey, do you want me to write that better for you?
Yes,
and it doesn't sound like ChatGPT. It's an incredible piece of technology.